One law states that you have a right to a fair trial, but another says you don't have to be told about evidence that could prove you're innocent.
There are now calls for changes, and with good reason. James Ford has more on the nightmares of innocent people behind bars and shows us how it could happen, even to you. Tamsin and John, 201 New Yorkers have been imprisoned in the last 25 years for crimes they didn't commit. And almost all of them went away for years, most for more than a decade, and many for more than 2 decades. And because of the way New York law is written, believe it or not, you could just as easily be added to the list. The relief you can feel through your television as the family of Jonathan Fleming reacted to his release in April for a murder in Brooklyn he didn't commit.
I waited for this day to come 24 and a half years for this nightmare to be over.
That even though this receipt from an Orlando hotel and this report from Orlando police showed he was 1,000 miles away at the time of the murder. But that evidence was never given to him by prosecutors. And in William Lopez's murder trial, not turned over to him, were transcripts showing a crack-addicted prostitute who testified against him had made it all up to get favorable treatment in her own criminal cases. Lopez was freed last year, also after nearly a quarter century in prison, only to die from an asthma attack this fall. Wrongful convictions are not rare. He became Lopez's best friend after Lopez was released. Both men know firsthand what it's like to be wrongly convicted. I missed births, deaths, holidays, graduating high school prom, finishing my education at a normal age. Jeffrey Deskovic was convicted in 1990 of the beating, rape, and murder of his then high school classmate, Angela Correa, even though DNA evidence indicated he didn't do it. But investigators forced a bogus confession from him, and documents proving that weren't required to be shown to Deskovic and his lawyer. That would have been really important information to use on cross-examination. It could have helped stop him from going to prison for 16 years. But the fact is, even though you have the right to a fair trial, there's no requirement in New York that you get to see all of the evidence against you.
New York right now is one of the most backward states in the country in that respect.
He was the attorney for Jabbar Collins, who was in prison 16 years after 3 witnesses testified they'd seen him rob and kill a rabbi. There was plenty of evidence showing the witnesses were lying.
And it turned out the documents that for 15 years, various prosecutors at that office were claiming under oath didn't exist were in the file.
But Collins was denied access to that file because New York only requires limited evidence be released. That's why more and more people are protesting the New York law called CPL 240 that limits what information is given to a person accused of a crime. They want the law repealed. Protesters point out that New York is one of only about a dozen states with the restrictions. So why are lawmakers in Albany holding out? Groups like the state's district attorneys argue that granting an accused person full access to evidence against them could allow criminals to find out and intimidate witnesses or give criminals other tools to avoid conviction. But there's a place where all files are open to people accused of crimes close by, right across the Hudson in New Jersey. There's no spike in crime. Witnesses aren't suddenly being rubbed out. That statement is supported by both the biggest study of states that provide all evidence to defendants and by New Jersey State Police crime statistics. And opening files may increase public safety, according to the man who did not have full access to the evidence against him. Every time the wrong person is convicted, the actual perpetrator is free to strike again. He should know, 4 years after he was imprisoned for the murder he didn't commit, the person who later admitted to the murder, Stephen Cunningham, committed another murder of Patricia Morrison, the school teacher and mother of 2. A murder which could have been prevented Now, on the day we did that interview, a jury decided that he should receive the biggest compensation amount ever over misconduct that led to a false arrest, $41 million. He's calling on the state legislature to change the law to open all files in criminal cases. The state assembly has passed bills that would do that, but the state Senate keeps voting it down. They're expected to revisit the issue in January. Tamsen and John.
All right, James, thank you.